Right now, someone with an ordinary salary owns property that earns them rent every single month. They did not inherit it. They did not win the lottery. They bought it, strategically, using a framework that most people never learn. Today, I am going to show you exactly how they did it. Real estate is the oldest wealth-building tool in human history. Every empire, every dynasty, every generation of the truly wealthy has held land and property as the foundation of their wealth. And yet most people believe it is only for the rich. That belief is costing them everything. Here is what we cover today. Why property is still the most reliable wealth asset for ordinary people. How to buy your first property, even with almost no money. The rental income formula that turns a property into a business. The mistakes that trap first-time buyers. How to build a multi-property portfolio step by step. And the Africa and Tanzania specific real estate opportunity that most investors are missing. Stay until Chapter 6. That chapter is the one that nobody in your circle knows about. Before we dive in, drop a comment. Just one word. Do you currently own any property, or is it still a dream? Every answer shapes what I create next. And it takes you 3 seconds. Ready? Let us begin. Here is something no one tells you about real estate. It has 5 wealth-building mechanisms working simultaneously. No other asset does this. Stocks give you growth. Bonds give you income. Cash gives you nothing. But property does all 5 things at once. And when you understand all 5, you understand why the wealthy never sell their land. Mechanism 1, appreciation. Property values rise over time, not every year, but over the long term, land in growing cities consistently increases in value. The same plot of land in Dar es Salaam that cost 2 million shillings 30 years ago is worth hundreds of millions today. Time is the engine. Holding is the strategy. Mechanism 2, rental income. While you hold the property, it pays you, every month, from someone else's pocket. This is passive income in its most ancient and reliable form. A well-chosen rental property can generate enough income to cover its own costs and still put money in your account. You own the asset. Tenants pay for it. Mechanism 3, leverage. This is the one that separates real estate from every other asset class. The bank will lend you money to buy property. That means you can control a 10 million shilling asset with only 2 million of your own money. Your return is calculated on the full 10 million. But your investment was only 2 million. That ratio is leverage. And it multiplies your wealth in ways that almost nothing else can. Mechanism 4, inflation protection. When inflation rises, so do property values and rents. The property you bought today becomes more valuable as money loses purchasing power. Unlike cash savings that shrink in real terms, property holds and grows its real value. In an African high-inflation environment, this mechanism is not just useful, it is essential. Mechanism 5, equity building. Every loan repayment you make reduces your debt. Your ownership share grows. The tenant pays rent. That rent covers your repayment. You own more of the property every single month without paying a cent of your own money. 30 years later, you own the entire asset, fully. Debt-free. The tenant bought it for you. The biggest lie about real estate is this. You need a lot of money to start. You do not. What you need is a clear understanding of how the system actually works and a strategy that fits where you are right now. Let me break down the real pathways to your first property. Pathway 1. Save a deposit and take a mortgage. The traditional path. In Tanzania and most of East Africa, banks typically require 20 to 30% down payment. On a 50 million shilling property, that is 10 to 15 million shillings. Not small, but achievable with discipline over 2 to 4 years if you apply the pay-yourself-first system from Project 5. Pathway 2. Joint purchase. 2 or 3 people pool resources. Each brings a portion of the deposit. Each owns a proportional share. The mortgage repayment is shared. The rental income is shared. This is how many ordinary Tanzanian families have entered property ownership. The Sacco model applied to real estate. Strength in combination. Progress through partnership. Pathway 3. Buy land first. In many parts of East Africa, undeveloped land is significantly cheaper than built property. You buy the land, you hold it. You build slowly, room by room, as finances allow. This is the traditional African wealth-building approach, and it still works. Start with land. Build incrementally. Arrive at a fully owned property without ever taking a large loan. Pathway 4. House hacking. You buy a property with multiple units. You live in one. You rent out the others. The rental income from the other units covers most or all of your mortgage repayment. You are effectively living for free or at minimal cost while your tenants build your equity. This strategy has created more first-generation property owners than almost any other approach. Pathway 5. REITs, Real Estate Investment Trusts. Available on the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange and other African markets. A REIT lets you buy a fractional share of a real estate portfolio for as little as a few thousand shillings. You receive dividends from rental income. You benefit from property appreciation. You do not manage tenants. You do not fix toilets. You own. And it pays you. Not all properties are good investments. Most people buy property emotionally. They buy what they love. They buy what impresses their family. The wealthy buy what the numbers support. This chapter is about the numbers. Because a property that looks beautiful but earns nothing is a liability dressed up as an asset. The most important number in rental property is the gross rental yield. It tells you what percentage of the property's value you earn in rent each year. The formula is simple. Annual rent divided by property value multiplied by 100. If a property costs 50 million shillings and earns 3 million in rent per year, your gross yield is 6%. In East Africa, a good rental yield is typically 7 to 12%. The net yield goes deeper. It subtracts your costs. Maintenance, property management fees if you use an agent, insurance, taxes, vacancy periods when the property is empty. What remains is your actual return. Most beginner investors forget costs, and then they wonder why the numbers do not add up. Always calculate net, not gross. Always. Location is not just a preference. It is a financial calculation. The right location means strong tenant demand, low vacancy rates, rising rents over time, proximity to employment, schools, transport. In Dar es Salaam, areas near the CBD, universities, industrial zones, and major road corridors consistently outperform distant suburbs for rental yield. Research before you buy. Walk the area. Ask landlords. Study vacancy rates. Know your market. The tenant screening process is your first line of defense against the biggest risk in rental property: bad tenants. Check employment. Check references. Collect a deposit equal to 2 or 3 months' rent before handing keys. Use a written tenancy agreement. Every time. No exceptions. A bad tenant can cost you months of lost rent, property damage, and legal fees. A proper screening process protects everything you built. Now the mistakes. They are predictable. They are avoidable. And knowing them costs you nothing. Ignoring them will cost you everything you are trying to build. Mistake 1. Buying with emotion instead of numbers. You fall in love with the property. You overlook the flood risk, the weak rental demand, the distance from employment, the overpriced asking price. Emotion is the enemy of investment decisions. Before we close this chapter, the real gem hasn't even dropped yet. What comes next could completely change the way you see money, side hustles, and building wealth. In the next video, we're going deeper, smarter, and more practical. I'll show you the exact moves most people ignore until it's too late. So don't disappear into the internet jungle. Make sure you watch part 2 right after this, because that's where the puzzle finally connects. See you in the next video.